Hey guys, it's Ken. Imagine you're sipping your coffee on the front porch and notice your lawn has grown unwieldy. Needs to be mowed. Suddenly a man comes by and offers to mow your lawn for $20. You like a nice clean lawn and his price is good, so you say yes. He mows the lawn, you pay him, and life is good. You sip your coffee and admire your lawn until next week it's overgrown again. He comes by, you pay him, and everything is great again. One day he arrives to mow your lawn and tells you the price is increasing to $30. You like his work and don't mind paying a little more for the same thing, so you say yes. He mows, you sip, and the cycle repeats. But one week, he mows much faster than normal, and the lawn isn't as clean as he used to get it. You tell him you're not satisfied, and he lowers the price back to what you used to pay to compensate for the shoddy work. He keeps charging this price and keeps mowing the lawn, but you're upset that the work isn't done as well as it used to be. You say, I'd be fine paying the increased price for better work, but he says this is as good as you're going to get because this is the best he can do in the time he's willing to spend mowing your lawn. You say, but if I pay more, can't you spend more time? And he explains his strategy. See, when he started out, he had to fight to get customers, so he charged a lower wage and spent as much time as it took to mow the lawn properly. It took him 1 hour to mow your lawn for $20. Once he had 56 customers, he had reached the most money he could make without raising his price, so he did. Then, he discovered that he could charge $20 to more people, spend less time per lawn, and make more money than if he had just charged each person more. He'd like to mow your lawn better, but that would cut into the time he could be mowing someone else's lawn. If you want him to spend more time, he'll have to charge you $40. You have two options here. You can pay him $40 for the same quality of work you were previously paying only $20 for, or you can find someone else to mow your lawn. See, human beings have this sticky, annoying quality about them that we call loyalty. When you, an outside viewer, understand this situation, you are more likely to choose option 2. Surely someone out there will meet in the middle and charge $30 to mow your lawn correctly. But when you're in the situation, your brain tends to attach an emotional quality to the choice. You built a relationship with this man, and that relationship factors in. But what your brain may be ignoring is that this man has no relationship with you. If you stop paying him to mow your lawn, you as an individual customer can be replaced much easier than he as your only provider can. And while he doesn't need you in particular, he's betting on the idea that you will grant leniency to his actions and keep paying him. This man is a seller. Thus presents today's argument: never be loyal to sellers. Before we investigate this further, we need to equalize our definition of a seller. A seller is an individual who is providing, fulfilling, or creating in order to receive payment. A salesman is a seller. A banker is a seller. A musician is a seller. A politician is a seller. The guy that mows your lawn is a seller. A YouTuber is a seller. And, to bring it back to video games, game developers are sellers. I have met hundreds of game developers that will proudly state that they make games for the love of the craft. Money is not in their mental, and they'd still be making games if there wasn't a dime to be made from them. Sure. Listen, I love games. I have made exactly $40 off my games, and yet I still make games. But every single one of us is lying if we try to say that we don't hope our next game pops off and brings in enough money to stop working our day jobs. There are absolutely people out there who love mowing lawns, but would also love to be paid to mow lawns. And this is the core of the issue. Sellers are not inherently bad people. The world needs sellers. But sellers also need buyers, and that's you. That little piece of the human brain that establishes loyalty plays a big part in sellers being able to maximize their profits and minimize the work required to earn those profits. Game developers are people, and even if 99% of their games are great, one of them is eventually going to suck. Game developers, as sellers, are hoping that your constructed loyalty will help drag them through their mistakes. And this is a perfectly fine thing. Everyone makes mistakes, and game developers shouldn't be harshly punished for being people. But if one day their love for money overcomes their love of the craft, they'll be banking on that same loyalty to keep you buying while they have no intention of returning to their original standards. We see this same psychological loyalty trap across all entertainment media. I can name you one single musician whose every album release has been equal or better quality than the last: Jimi Hendrix. Some people hold on to this viewpoint that their favorite bands always get better, and every album and every song on that album will be great. But that's not possible. When you hold a view like this, you mentally enter defense mode when someone doesn't like the latest release. That's your learned loyalty kicking in. You feel like you're on the same team as the band, and our brains are meant to protect our team. You've definitely seen this defensive loyalty in action in gaming communities too, and I'd be willing to bet even you have found yourself defending a disappointing release from one of your favorite developers. To narrow in on how loyalty can be abused by companies to cover their bad business practices, let's take a minute to remember some of our favorite companies that have abused our loyalty, which will be a nice segue into my final point. Ubisoft. I've said a lot about Ubisoft in the past, so I'll keep this brief. Ubisoft built a reputation of creativity, innovation, and competition by allowing their developers to run with new ideas and using market trends to understand what gamers were looking for out of the next big game. Always asking the question, how could we take something people love and try to make it better, especially in the constantly improving ecosystem of the 2000s. This focus on growth and improvement led to people placing Ubisoft on a high pedestal and innately gaining a sense of loyalty game after game. Like watching a Ryan Gosling film, when Ubisoft released a new game, I took on a whole new personality. In the 2010s, this quality level started to drop. Assassin's Creed was being released faster than you could say another one. Though still showing some innovation every now and then, the company moved to focus on live service games and a shift away from giving gamers what they didn't know they wanted, and instead playing it safe. I marked the start of this decline with Ghost Recon Shadow Wars, and it is continuing to this very day. If you want more on Ubisoft, check the video in the card. Activision. Activision started up 46 years ago, basically making them the American Nintendo. Ironically, they started because Atari wouldn't pay programmers what they thought they were owed, but I digress. I won't focus too much on Activision because ultimately they're a publishing company, so let's dig into a few of their own studios. Infinity Ward were created by influential members responsible for Medal of Honor in the 90s, and were created with help from Activision. Building on their bread and butter, they created the Call of Duty series, which will forever hold a place in my heart, setting the template for all future FPS games, and have done nothing else but that. The first two Call of Duty games were revolutionary and amazing. They let another company we'll get to soon handle the third game, which set a dev cycle that would last to this day of spending 2 years making each game. But in 2013, with the release of Ghosts, the quality level expected from Infinity Ward and the Call of Duty franchise as a whole dropped like a bomb. A lack of innovation and a focus on microtransactions reduced the overall content. Chat moderation didn't really help either. Treyarch were founded in 1996 and made a few games before being acquired by Activision in 2001. You can thank them for Spider-Man, Spider-Man 2, Ultimate Spider-Man, and Spider-Man 3. They were the company given ownership over Call of Duty 3, followed by one of the greatest games ever made, Call of Duty World at War. And with that release, they became yet another Call of Duty factory. Aligning with the Call of Duty decline, none of their games after 2012's Black Ops 2 have seen the same level of long-term appreciation due to excessive microtransactions and reduced amounts of content. High Moon gave us Darkwatch, 3 Transformers games, and the legendary Deadpool. Following Deadpool, they too joined the ranks of Call of Duty Factory Studios. Sledgehammer started out under Activision with the ambitious idea of creating a third-person Call of Duty single-player game, and their only real contribution to gaming is that their idea caused the creation of Respawn Entertainment, which does earn them some praise. Other than that, they're a Call of Duty factory. I mentioned them on this list solely to laugh at them, and you should too. Listen, I could go on and on about studios owned by Activision, how they declined from original high quality to their current state of defunct, sold to Ubisoft, or making Call of Duty games. Which is why I am rescinding my earlier statement that Activision is just a publishing company. Because when people think of Activision, they think of specific games. Tony Hawk Pro Skater, Call of Duty, Guitar Hero, and many others. I remember the early 2010s when I, like with Ubisoft, said, Activision will make things right. They always have. To be young again. Now, this one really hurts. Blizzard revolutionized the 3 genres I love most, RTS, MMORPG, and ARPG, and helped create one that drives me mad, MOBAs. With every release between 1994 and 2012, Blizzard games were on the have-to-buy list. Conversation online and in school the weeks after a release were nothing but talk about Blizzard. To this day, I still return to Warcraft 2 and 3, StarCraft 1 and 2, Diablo 1 and 2, and in my dreams I live in the 2008 world where I would eat, sleep, and breathe Wrath of the Lich King. I played I Am Murloc on Guitar Hero 3. I was obsessed. In 2008, when parent company Vivendi Games merged with Activision to create a mega company, Activision Blizzard, little changed on the Blizzard side for the most part. And then 2012 hit. What a strange trend we've seen so far, huh? I wonder what happened in the early 2010s. In 2012, Blizzard released Diablo 3 and the Mists of Pandaria expansion. I got Diablo 3 at GameStop at 12:14 on the wee hours of May 15th, standing in line with other weirdos hyped to see Deckard Cain once again. Mists of Pandaria was the last midnight release I actually ever attended, and I was one of 3 people that showed up on that cold September night. Both of these releases had login issues, yet both of them were enjoyable, until the waning quality and the reliance on attention-keeping mechanics drove me away. They weren't bad games, far from it, but they were flawed in a way that showed the future. Hearthstone and Overwatch were innovations in themselves, but riddled with money-grabbing mechanics. They killed off access to the original version of Warcraft 3 to push their buggy remaster, and don't even get me started on their mobile games. The fact that the largest bump in subscriber count in the last 7 years of when they released WoW Classic should tell you everything you need to know about how they're doing. My WoW sub has been inactive since 2018, and I'm oddly proud of that. But I was once loyal to Blizzard, proud of that loyalty, and now I see that was a mistake. I could go on and on about game studios that have taken this fall from grace. I've tried to pinpoint 3 big ones here because they sort of show the easiest to look at example. But if you investigate a lot of studios that you enjoyed as a child, you can see how most of them have taken this exact same path. And maybe there's a bit of nostalgia blinding us from early on and seeing how this was always their plan, they just had to build their way up. But I think the people that worked at these companies when they were small really wanted to make good games, and as these companies grew larger and more people got involved, they became a business. And this is what businesses do. So many of them bank on player loyalty, and some continue to bank on that loyalty as they put money over giving gamers what they want. Respawn, Konami, Bungie, Lionhead, BioWare, Bethesda, Rocksteady, Naughty Dog, and I could go on for weeks about what a shithole EA has driven so many people into. But if you play games, you probably know all this already, and we're all hurting together. So how can we prevent this feeling in the future? Stop being loyal. These game studios and publishers are sellers. They look out first and foremost for their bottom line. Like the guy mowing lawns, if they can make more money with more customers for lower quality, they will. Ubisoft and Activision Blizzard and EA and all these goddamn companies have come to recognize that live service games riddled with microtransactions and short flashy gameplay loops can gather up a wider audience willing to put in less money each for a total of more money overall. Games like Overwatch 2, Fortnite, Call of Duty, Skull and Bones, X-Defiant, Apex Legends, Assassin's Creed Shadows, and practically every other game these companies make with a clear attempt to grab up a consistent stream of revenue may not be bad games, but they are an attempt to draw on your loyalty to their history and put money over the level of quality and content that you expect from them. When you play game after game that you enjoy, you start to associate the developers with your enjoyment. Your brain forms that learned loyalty. You start to join their team, and despite lesser quality, you will defend them. So stop being loyal. The best way to approach products is to evaluate each one on a case-by-case basis, irrelevant of previous behavior. Do not play into the game these companies want you to play. They want you to think, well, you did me well in the past, I'm sure you'll do well in the future. But past performance does not indicate future performance. When a game is good, support it, and buy it, and play it, and share it. When a game is bad, forget it forever. Or for developers, figure out why it's bad and don't do that. Bye.